Let's talk about hair dyes. While I color my hair for the first time, I have been having this itch where I wanted to do something drastically different to my appearance for quite some time. I wanted to get piercings, I wanted to get tattoos, I wanted to dye my hair. I got like this nose piercing around like 2023, like end of 2023. Since then, I have been having certain urges. Uh, I did think of getting a tattoo soon. Maybe I'll make a video on that later. But today, I wanted to dye my hair before my birthday, do something different to my look. This gave me an idea about how about I make a video where I try to read up about the history of hair dyes, about how hair dyes work. I would also like to give a disclaimer that I'm not an expert when it comes to hair and hair dyes. Whatever information I share with you might be limited to my level of research, and I'm not somebody who has studied hair for years, or I'm not a dermat when it comes to all of this. So please take whatever I say on the face value. It is in a way a superficial level of information. So in case you have any query that needs to be resolved, it would be better if you reach out to somebody who is an expert. To start off, I'll talk about the history of hair dyes and where did they actually come from. Evidence suggests that the art of dyeing one's hair actually dates back to as early as the Egyptian civilization in the 1500 BC. The ancient Egyptian Ebers papyrus actually lists out a lot of recipes for dyeing one's grey hair and eyebrows. So I believe the fear of aging as a consequence of mortality is a tale as old as time. The Ebers papyrus was a medical record of herbal knowledge. It not only listed out recipes to cover grey hair, but it also had recipes for other hair related issues such as balding, hair fall, smoothing of hair, or maybe even hair removal. For example, there is a recipe for a hair dye which involves cooking blood of a black calf in oil, and this must be a very weird recipe. But Egyptians also used other plant based materials such as henna, indigo, and turmeric as hair dyes. Given the papyrus is the earliest written record of hair dyes, and given how old Egyptian civilization itself is, who knows how long the practice of using hair dyes actually was when it comes to practice. Many years after the 1500 BC, Greeks and Romans were also making their own permanent hair dye. It was a mixture of lead oxide and calcium hydroxide. But due to the high concentration of lead in the mixture, the dye was pretty toxic, because of which it eventually went out of practice. To the surprise of nobody, blonde was also a very sought after color when it comes to hair dyes. And obviously, there were many ways one could make their hair blonde. There were a couple of mixtures that were used. One mixture was of lemon and vinegar, and the other was of goat fat and ashes. They would use any of these mixtures on their hair and sit out under the sun to lighten the hair. In a way, it was the earliest bleaching method. Based on the early examples, you would now know that people either made their hair blonde or they covered their grey hair. At the same time, red was not a favorable color to dye your hair with. It was because red was genetically rare and it was suspiciously seen by the people of those times as witchcraft. It was until Queen Elizabeth ascended to the throne is when red hair became a bit more acceptable. For many years, the practice of using herbs and mixtures as hair dye still continued, and it was until the 19th century when the English chemist William Henry Perkin discovered the first synthesized dye while he was making a cure for malaria. This was called morphine. Obviously, it was named after the color mauve, and the professor August Hoffmann derived the color changing molecule from this dye, And that molecule is still used in a lot of bases of modern hair dyes. It wasn't until the early 1900s when the synthetic hair dyes were available for commercial use. In 1907, Eugene Schweller created the first synthetic hair dye available for commercial use. He called it Oriole. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. And this was later renamed as L'Oreal. And that is when the company came into existence. After many years of different trials and errors, different formulas, different celebrity endorsements, different marketing campaigns, we have finally entered the modern era of hair coloring, where the hair color these days a bit more gentle than they used to be back in those days. And with that, I conclude the history of hair dyes. But now I'm going to color my hair and maybe talk about the process and the research that goes into before you dye your hair. So for that, I have to change my shirt, I have to moisturize, and I'll be back in a snap. So I finally changed into a shirt which is already compromised because I have acrylic stain on my shirt back when I was painting. So I have decided that this shirt I will use it like whenever I'm painting or coloring my hair. For this part of the video, I might be doing a lot more voiceover instead of me talking to the camera because I'll be doing my thing, I'll be concentrating on that. And yeah, we need to understand how hair structure works. The innermost layer is called the medulla and it is composed of many soft cells. But when it comes to hair coloring, it is not that important. So we move to the cortex, and this is the portion that contains the pigment cells called melanocytes. These cells produce melanin, which is the pigment responsible for our natural hair color. Then we move to the cuticle, and this is the line of defense for our hair. They are made up of a lot of overlapping scales, and these usually keep whatever environmental damage that our hair could get out of the system. Different porosity hair tend to have different types of cuticles, and they determine how your hair would behave in certain scenarios. When it comes to low porosity hair, the cuticles are so tightly packed that the hair cannot absorb any sort of moisture or product. So in this case, hair dyes have a difficult time entering into the cortex of the hair. While in case of high porosity hair, it is much faster to absorb moisture, but on the other hand, it is prone to damage, plus hair color usually fades very fast on high porosity hair. Next, we talk about the types of hair dyes. And first, we have permanent hair dyes, and usually they have some sort of lifting agent like ammonia or hydrogen peroxide. And what they usually do is they lift the cuticles, penetrate into the cortex, and lighten the melanin. And once that is done, the color molecules show up brightly on our hair. Next, we have semi permanent hair dyes, and they usually provide a very subtle color change. They do it by depositing colored molecules on the hair shaft or by slightly penetrating the cuticle. Since these dyes do not penetrate deep into the cortex, they gradually wash out. Demi permanent hair usually falls between permanent and semi permanent hair color, and it is only used to enhance natural hair color, while on the other hand, temporary hair color, like the name suggests, they just wash out with a shampoo. So before you dye your hair, you have to prep your hair. You have to make sure that you do not wash it, put any oils, or like have any sort of product on it. Otherwise, the dye will not stick to your hair. And obviously, you have to detangle your hair, as you can see me struggling very, very hard. Because if you do not detangle your hair, the dye will be very uneven on your strands, and the result will also be very, very uneven. Then it is advised that you part your hair into different portions so that you can isolate them and put your dye more efficiently so that each strand looks vibrant instead of varying result. In my case, I did not have any clip, so I was using these small rubber bands which were not at all helpful. Like, let me tell you, I was very impatient. I was not making that many portions. I just had four thick portions, and it was not helpful. You can literally look at the video, you can see how useless it all was. But yeah, I was using semi permanent dyes. I was using these. They were two different hues, and I wanted to mix them. I also got foil. I will shortly tell you the purpose of the foil. Here you can see me pouring the developer. This is the one that will activate the dye and open up the hair cuticles. And here goes the dye. At this point, I was actually pretty terrified because the red looked so vibrant. It was like, I hope I don't look like somebody walking around with blood red hair. Given this was a no bleach hair tint, I didn't have to use bleach as a primary lighting agent. The developer itself has hydrogen peroxide, but I believe it is not in a high concentration. Also, to note, hydrogen peroxide, be it in bleach or be it in the developer, it does affect your hair to some extent. Do not expect your hair to be as healthy as it was earlier, because these chemicals, like I had mentioned earlier, they lift the cuticles, they alter the melanin. So, for that, there will be some level of damage, and you have to take care of your hair after using hair dyes. You cannot just follow your usual routine, because usually people use a lot of sulfate shampoos or a lot of harsh shampoos, and those kind of shampoos make your hair even more dry. It makes them drier, it makes them more damaged. I am wrapping my hair with foil because I want to trap the heat that comes out from the lighting agent to stay in that zone. I don't want it to escape into the air. I do not want it to, become a bit less effective. That was my understanding of how it works. Have a good look, because this is what a crime scene looks like. You can see my gloves and all. I actually went to get the other hair dye. I wanted it to mix in with the red. This one is a bit more purplish, so I thought mixing it in would bring a different, color. And here I am struggling to pour the developer because it is not coming out. It's a struggle. At this point, I sort of started feeling my eyes burning because the developer went into my eyes. So, after many minutes of struggling to get color on my hair and making a murder scene out of my bathroom. Here I am. You can see the condition of my shirt, and there's dye everywhere on my neck. I underestimated how messy coloring your hair could be. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say that it is messy and etc etc. But I thought, oh, I am different. I'll be neat and clean about it. I would not make a lot more mess or anything like that. You don't want to see the condition of my bathroom. In fact, at one point, I think I got developer, like while I was trying to get it, I sort of got it on my face. I had to immediately rinse my hair. Like, sorry. I think uh, at one point I had to wash my eyes because I got developer in my eyes. Like as I was trying to squeeze it out, it kind of splashed it on my face. I don't know if I want to do this again. I will. I know I will. Like obviously right now I'm just cribbing about it. So roughly like 45 minutes to 50 minutes I have to like wait for this contraption. Like I look like an alien. Like I sort of like dried my hair, and this is what my hair looks like after the whole process. And I sort of did not have any high expectations. I did not expect it to be vibrant as such, so I'm not too disappointed. I thought it would be a bit more lighter but it is not. And I kind of feel like it is all because of my low porosity hair as well. Like, so I sort of expected that I would not get a lot from the semi-permanent dye. But yeah, like I would, now that I've seen how my hair looks like in this case, I don't even know if it's visible on the camera or not. But now that I know how the color looks like on me, I would definitely do another try where I would definitely use bleach as a lifting agent so that my hair is a bit more light and the color shows up even better. So far, this is my first time dyeing my hair. I got some experience points. I understood how hair dyes work, and I really hope you like the video. I hope you learned something. I don't know. Maybe there are people like me who have not yet dyed their hair before. I would love to catch up on you on a different video. Maybe I'll try making a short video where I would, re-dye my hair again so that you guys can see how it looks afterwards. But yeah, that's about it from my side. I would love to hear your thoughts, your tips. Maybe there is somebody watching who has had their hair dyed and they have some tips for me so that I can do better next time. So yeah, I would love to see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.